Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna.
We're not in Disney World, in case you were thinking. That's the Magic Castle. But it is the Magic Castle. It's the home of Shishi Radha, Govinda Madhav, and Krishna Balaram, and Shishi Gaura Nitai. Maybe we can put in a few pictures here, if Bhava Bhakti is inspired. So, and we're here with two magical personalities who are here serving in this magical castle in the middle of the Loire Valley in France, about 3.5 hours south of Paris, near to a town called Tours, right? So anyway, very, very beautiful place. And for those of you who don't know it, you should definitely come and visit. You'll just be amazed. It's such a beautiful and magnificent place. But we're here with Shantatma Prabhu, who is a fellow American. Hard to find fellow Americans these days. He's a Texan, so he's going to be talking with a drawn accent. He doesn't, though. He doesn't have a Texas accent at all. He sounds more French, English. And Chitralila Mataji, who is French English, right?
Yeah.
But who's living here and joined in Canterbury, right? Joined in Canterbury. So all of those, we've got a few viewers in Canterbury. So this is one of the early Canterbury devotees who's now living in the Magic Castle. You can live in a Magic Castle too. So anyway, but we're here with them. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah,
and agreeing to be part of our wackiness. So we're just here to read the Bhagavatam and have a nice discussion. Where are we?
Canto 3, Chapter 25, Text 35, Chapter The Glories of Devotional Service.
So I guess you can say the invocation. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Either of you like to start? Go first, read the verse.
English.
First.
Okay.
Yeah.
So text 35. O my mother, my devotees always see the smiling face of my form, with eyes like the rising morning sun. They like to see my various transcendental forms, which are all benevolent, and they also talk favorably with me.
Yeah.
And then I'll read from the purport. Mayavadis and atheists accept the forms of the deities in the temple of the Lord as idols, but devotees do not worship idols. They directly worship the personality of Godhead in his Archa incarnation. Archa refers to the form which we can worship in our present condition. Actually, in our present state, it is not possible to see God in his spiritual form, because our material eyes and senses cannot conceive of a spiritual form. We cannot even see the spiritual form of the individual soul. When a man dies, we cannot see how the spiritual form leaves the body. That is the defect of our material senses. In order to be seen by our material senses, the Supreme Personality of Godhead accepts a favorable form, which is called Archa Vigraha. This Archa Vigraha, sometimes called the Archa Incarnation, is not different from him, just as the Supreme Personality of Godhead accepts various incarnations. He takes on forms made out of matter, clay, wood, metal, and jewels.
Wow, so nice to be talking about the Archa Vigraha form, and here is just like the most beautiful deities, you know.
Yeah.
So wonderful. Any thoughts? Anything stood out for anyone?
Well, I always just appreciate this point of how, when Prabhupada makes the point how we can't actually see Krishna with our present eyes, because we have this material vision only, but we can see things that are tangible things of this world, like stone and clay and wood. And so Krishna, in order to come and help us to serve him, think of him, see him, he comes in these forms. He takes on the form of something that's like wood and like clay, but he actually, it's him.
Yeah.
And so, but you can also see it with your material eyes. And I just always appreciate how it's like Krishna reaching out to the conditioned souls. He's ready to come to whatever level that we can appreciate him. And so that it's a very merciful quality of Krishna's.
Yeah, it's very powerful. Yeah, he's willing to take whatever form that can possibly attract us. It's really amazing, wonderful.
Yeah, it's true. It's even like a boar or a fish, or even like we might think, oh, that's lowly or gross, but he'll do whatever just to attract us back.
Yeah, what is it? There are innumerable incarnations of the Lord, like waves in the ocean, and all of them simply, he takes all these forms simply to attract the living entities back to him, to appeal to the multifarious, tastes and inclinations that all the jivas have. Yeah, it's very powerful. And especially the Archa Vigraha form, I really appreciate this, because a lot of people, when they first come, of course, many of us are coming from Western background. I know when I first went to the temple, it was like the deities was a little bit hard to get my head around. It was like, and coming from Christian background also, my first thought was exactly what Prabhupada. Okay, this is idol worship. This is what idol worship means. Like, you hear it, but I never really knew what it was. But then you realize it's not idol. It's not idol, it's ideal. Ideal worship. And the form is actually the Lord, and it's a form that is manifested, as Prabhupada is saying here, that we can actually directly interact with. So even we may hear about the incarnations, Varaha, Dev, Narasimha, but we still can't interact directly. But the Archa form, and it's also an incarnation, Prabhupada says. It's actually an incarnation of the Lord. Yeah. And I guess each deity is a different incarnation. So these are also multifarious, because, of course, even in the temple, like in London, we have, let's talk about here. You have Krishna Balaram, Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda, and then you have, Radha Govinda Madhav. So you have different moods, different rasas. So some people are probably attracted to different moods and rasas. So, very nice. Anything else?
I was listening to a class from Srimad Swami Maharaj this morning, and it was about the Pushpa Abhishek, one of those festivals, and he was talking about this point specifically about often deity worship is labeled as being idol worship, but you're saying exactly that we are not worshipping idols. Idol worship means it's just about the externals, just about the external practices and the external forms. So if we are just doing the rituals, then it becomes idol worship. But for the Vaishnavas, it's not idol worship, because it's about the devotion in the heart, and we always remember that part as well as the external. So then we are worshipping Krishna, not worshipping idols. But Maharaj often brings out this point that look at the essence of the activity and not just the externals.
Yeah, the heart of the matter.
Yeah. Because otherwise it can become idol worship. Deity worship is with devotion, or trying to have some devotion.
Yeah, that's nice. So even if you have a form of the Lord, but if you're worshiping it in a mechanistic mentality, and there's no real love or devotion, then you're just worshiping an idol. But if the heart is attached and there's real genuine love and you're really feeling the presence of the Lord, then it's proper Archa-Vigraha, it's actually deity worship. That's very nice.
I remember one time at Bhaktivedanta Manor they had Abhishek of Chota Radha Krishna representing Radha Gokulananda, and I've been in so many Abhisheks and seen, and it's nice, but it was just at one time when Radhanath Maharaj happened to be there. I don't actually know what festival it was, but he came, so all the sannyasis and VIPs were asked to come and they would bathe the deities, and the way he did it, so he came, he was on the side of Radharani and someone was on the side of Krishna, and he took his thumb, because it's Chota, so like that, and with his thumb he was just putting the paste, but like as if he was a child, and I was like, it just clicked that, it's not just a deity, I mean, he was doing it like she was there, if that makes sense, and if you would just move something away, he did it like that, and he was, I don't know, I thought, it just clicked in my heart, they're there, like, and he was doing it with love, not just, it's Abhishek, I pour, and I pour, and then the next VIP comes, and he just stopped and just like going like that, rubbing the sandalwood paste or something, really gently, as if it was just changed the whole thing.
Wow.
Just changed it. I was like, God,
Yeah, I often explain, because we have lots of times we have students who come into the temple and from many different faiths, and just try to address that in the temple room first, and just say, and I basically say point blank, there's an idea of idol worship, but this isn't idol worship, and it's not idol worship because the deities are created, manifested in a form that is according to Shastra. They're installed according to Shastra through the ceremony, and they're worshipped according to Shastra. So everything happens according to the scripture. So it's not that it's some graven image or some made up thing. Everything is in line with what the scripture says, what they're offered, when they're offered, how they're offered it, how they're installed, how they're carved, and the image that's created through that process, what they're made out of is in the Shastra. So everything is coming from the texts that dictate what it can be in order to be that form. So therefore it's not just some idol, like you can just make up whatever you want, But I was also hearing a lecture, and devotees were saying, but these days we idolize certain personalities, like football stars or rock singers or actors or actresses or Mickey Mouse. People walk around, people kind of worship these kind of idols. They idolize certain personalities that they're not, which another devotee explains, this is a clear sign of the propensity within the living entity to worship something, to worship someone, that we actually want to have someone that we idolize and look up to. So there's a natural calling of the soul to have that in their life, but it's misdirected. So, but with the deities, then they're all according to Shastra, so therefore it's not actually an idol from that perspective either. So anyway, lots of nectar. Should we read the rest of the purport? Mataji, would you like to read?
There are many Shastric Injunctions which give instructions for carving forms of the Lord. These forms are not material. If God is all-pervading, then He is also in the material elements. There is no doubt about it. But the atheists think otherwise. Although they preach that everything is God, when they go to the temple and see the form of the Lord, they deny that He is God. According to their own theory, everything is God. Then why is the deity not God? Actually, they have no conception of God. The devotee's vision, however, is different. Their vision is speared with love of God. As soon as they see the Lord in His different forms, the devotees become saturated with love, for they do not find any difference between the Lord and his form is the temple, as do the atheists. The smiling face of the deity in the temple is beheld by the devotees as transcendental and spiritual, and the decoration of the body of the Lord is very much appreciated by the devotees. Should I stop there? Or?
No, please carry on to the end.
It is the duty of the spiritual master to teach how to decorate the deity in the temple, how to cleanse the temple, and how to worship the deity. There are different procedures and rules and regulations which are followed in temples of Vishnu, and devotees go there and see the deity, the Vigraha, and spiritually enjoy the form because all the deities are benevolent. The devotees express their minds before the deity, and in many instances, the deity also gives answers. But one must be a very elevated devotee in order to be able to speak with the Supreme Lord. Sometimes the Lord informs the devotee through dreams. These exchanges of feelings between the deity and the devotee are not understandable by atheists, but actually the devotee enjoys them. Kapila Muni is explaining how the devotees see the decorated body and face of the deity and how they speak with him in devotional service.
Wow. Such an amazing purport about deity worship. Anything stood out to anyone?
It's interesting, the devotees express their minds before the deity, and in many instances the deity also gives answers. So for me growing up, it was accepted, the deity, Krishna. But a lot of the times I'd see my relatives, because the things they would go to pray for, they wouldn't always get, Make sure my daughter gets married, make sure my son gets a good daughter-in-law that listens to us, make sure they become a doctor, a lawyer. It's interesting, and then it kind of it's an interesting relationship, and what they would go for and maybe not necessarily hear any response. They would feel they would hear no response, but it's not always, what we want. Or it's not always in our time either. Sometimes it's Krishna, when are you going to fulfill that? By the time he does it, you're I'm not really bothered now.
It's reminded me of how, because I used to play music in a band, and we used to gig in the center of London, and I used to park my car on Soho Square and carry my guitar and amp and stuff and meet the other guys, and we'd go into Soho and play gigs. And we used to play a lot of music gigs around there, and I used to be oh man, I really wish I could have a flat around here. That was my desire. and then some years later, when I moved into the temple, I was in the penthouse suite, because the Brahmachari ashram's on the top floor, right on Soho Square. And at one point I remember looking out the window, and I looked down at the square and I thought, oh my God, I used to park down here and wish I could live in Soho Square. And now I live in Soho. And now I have no need to live here for the same reasons. So Krishna kind of fulfills desires later when you don't actually care about that anymore. Now it's all a different reason. But anyway, that's off the topic. I like this, Prabhupada. I kind of got a couple of times where Prabhupada was citing other verses Premanjana Charita Bhakti Vilochanena, that their eyes are smeared with the salve of love. And then he talks about how the spiritual master is meant to teach the deity worship, and so it's the Guru Vastakam prayers that we sing in the morning, Mangalarti. So, really nice. Anything else? Should we read on? Yeah? Okay. You want to read 36?
Okay, text 36. Upon seeing the charming forms of the Lord smiling and attractive, and hearing his very pleasing words, the pure devotee almost loses all other consciousness. His senses are freed from all other engagements, and he becomes absorbed in devotional service. Thus, in spite of his unwillingness, he attains liberation without separate endeavour. Purport. There are 3 divisions of devotees: first class, second class, and third class. Even the third class devotees are liberated souls. It is explained in this verse that although they do not have knowledge, simply by seeing the beautiful decoration of the deity in the temple, the devotee is absorbed in thought of him and loses all other consciousness. Simply by fixing oneself in Krishna consciousness, engaging the senses in the service of the Lord, one is imperceptibly liberated. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Simply by discharging uncontaminated devotional service as prescribed in the scriptures, one becomes equal to Brahman. In Bhagavad Gita it is said, Brahma Bhuyaya Kalpate. This means that the living entity in his original state is Brahman, because he is part and parcel of the Supreme Brahman. But simply because of his forgetfulness of his real nature as an eternal servitor of the Lord, he is overwhelmed and captured by Maya. His forgetfulness of his real constitutional position is Maya. Otherwise, he is eternally Brahman.
Any thoughts?
It's nice that it says the 3 different types of devotees, but even the third class, just by being attached or attracted, taking darshan. As we see, maybe I don't know so much here in terms of traffic flow, but in London, you get a lot of traffic flow, people coming in, just to take darshan. And especially when the class is going on, stepping over everyone just to take darshan, or if you're taking, because we eat in that temple as well, so it's like, okay, I'm just going to step over you just to take darshan, but still, they are
Prabhupada saying they're liberated.
Yeah. They may not get it, that, okay, devotee, seva, or anything else, but that the deity form is just liberating them up to such a level, and more so maybe even yogis who try so hard to focus on the mind and sit for so many hours trying to just blank everything out, and you just have to see the deity form and you're elevated to a level,
I guess at least they're stepping over everyone to see the deity and not like get a new plasma TV or something. Get a new iPhone or some materialistic thing. And have some eagerness to see the deity. Anything?
I also appreciate the sentence right after that.
Sorry.
The sentence right after that where it says, it is explained in this verse that although they do not have knowledge, simply by seeing the beautiful decoration of the deity in the temple, the devotee is absorbed in thought of him and loses all other consciousness. That was an interesting phrase, that the devotee loses all other consciousness. And so simply by seeing the beautiful decoration, seeing the deities, their beautiful faces and their jewelry and flowers and everything, they become absorbed in thinking of him, and then other consciousness that was in there, it gets lost, it just goes away. And so I always appreciate when this aspect of devotional service is brought out, how you're not cleansing the mind by just trying to push everything out or sweep everything out, but by bringing something even more pleasurable in. Like in the previous purport, it said that the devotees enjoy what was it? The devotees spiritually enjoy the form of the deity. So you get to go in and by looking at the deities and enjoying their beauty, it's actually a spiritual act, and then it comes into your mind and your thoughts become all about Krishna, and you just lose all the other consciousness that you had in material conditioned consciousness.
Yeah, param drishtva navartate. You get the higher taste, and then we lose the lower taste. Very nice.
Yeah, like spiritual sense gratification, because you want to look at something nice.
Yeah.
Most people, anyway. Some people I don't know, gross things, but most people want to look at beautiful things, like that. And some people are
morbid.
Yeah, morbid, yeah. But most people want to look at beautiful things, so it's almost like spiritual sense gratification. You look at Radharani's hair, look at Krishna,
Yeah, I remember Shiva Maharaj once was saying, it's like, you can dovetail, with deity worship, you can dovetail so many propensities, especially like if you like to shop. You can just go out and you can still go and look at really nice jewelry and nice things, but it's not for you, it's actually for Krishna, and you can spend your money on it as well. And then you can come and give it to Krishna. This point, I think, is really, it's like what you were just mentioning. It for me, it's like, oh yes, deity worship, is definitely also it's preaching, it's outreach, because you bring people in and they can see, wow, so much care and so much love and affection, and it's so beautiful, and people can become really attracted, to Krishna by seeing his Archa-Vigraha form. So.
I remember Janananda Maharaj making a comment in relation to that, how deity worship is. He's saying, don't think that because you're here addressing the deities, you're not doing Sankirtan.
Nice.
Because, for a start, you're enlivening the Sankirtan devotees by making deities very attractive and enlivening them every morning.
Nice.
But also, when people come from the outside, you're preaching because you're showing how much care and attention you're putting in worshipping the form of the Lord. So it's also Sankirtan.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Perfect.
it's true.
Yeah, such a huge engagement for so many people, making garlands, making outfits, making jewelry, the actual dressing itself, offering
Cooking.
the artis, cooking. A massive engagement, for everyone to come and be part of it. Okay, should we keep reading? Otherwise, I think we're way over time. When one is trained to, it's my turn, right? When one is trained to become conscious of his position, he understands that he is the servitor of the Lord. Brahman refers to a state of self-realization. Even the third-class devotee, who is not advanced in knowledge of the absolute truth, but simply offers obeisances with great devotion, thinks of the Lord, sees the Lord in the temple, and brings forth flowers and fruits to offer to the deity, becomes imperceptibly liberated. Shraddhayanvitaha, with great devotion the devotees offer worshipful respects and paraphernalia to the deity. The deities of Radha and Krishna, Lakshmi and Narayan, and Ram and Sita are very attractive to devotees, so much so that when they see the statue decorated in the temple of the Lord, they become fully absorbed in thought of the Lord. That is the state of liberation. In other words, it is confirmed herewith that even a third-class devotee is in the transcendental position, above those who are trying for liberation by speculation or other methods. That's what you were just saying. Even great impersonalists like Shukadev Goswami, interesting, and the four Kumaras, oh my God, Shukadev's an impersonalist, were attracted by the beauty of the deities in the temple, by the decorations, and by the aroma of tulasi offered to the Lord, and they became devotees. Even though they were in the liberated state, instead of remaining impersonalists, they were attracted by the beauty of the Lord and became devotees. Jai. Yeah, of course we know Shukadeva Goswami was a Brahmavadi, not a Mayavadi, but a Brahmavadi. Brahman realized, and also the four Kumars, and then their interactions. Nice. Maybe just read the last paragraph.
Okay. Here the word vilas is very important. Vilas refers to the activities or pastimes of the Lord. It is a prescribed duty in temple worship that not only should one visit the temple to see the deity nicely decorated, but at the same time he should hear the recitation of Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, or some similar literature, which is regularly recited in the temple. It is the system in Vrindavan that in every temple there is recitation of the Shastras. Even third-class devotees who have no literary knowledge or no time to read Srimad Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita, get the opportunity to hear about the pastimes of the Lord. In this way, their minds may remain always absorbed in the thought of the Lord, His form, His activities, and His transcendental nature. This state of Krishna consciousness is a liberated stage. Lord Chaitanya, therefore, recommended 5 important processes in the discharge of devotional service. First, to chant the holy names of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Second, to associate with devotees and serve them as far as possible. Third, to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. Fourth, to see the decorated temple and the deity, and if possible, fifth, to live in a place like Vrindavan or Mathura. These 5 items alone can help a devotee achieve the highest perfectional stage. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita and here in the Srimad Bhagavatam. That third-class devotees can also imperceptibly achieve liberation is accepted in all Vedic literatures.
Prabhupada really seems to drive that point home about third-class devotees being, and he keeps using the word imperceptibly, imperceptibly liberated.
Any thoughts on what that means? Imperceptibly liberated versus just liberated?
Well, the definition is in a way that is so slight, gradual, or subtle as not to be perceived. So I was thinking it like it wasn't, it's not seeable. But it sounds like it can also be that imperceptible means it's so small, it's minute. They're minutely liberated. It's like, I guess it's not like, it's like Prabhupada uses that term, so slight it's gradual or it's subtle that it's not perceivable. So something is imperceptible means it's so small. The point isn't so much about the seeing, it's about the reason why you can't see it. If that makes sense, because it's hard to see, because it's so subtle.
Oh, so they're a little bit liberated.
Like
in
that.
that sense, you mean?
That's what I just understood from it, because I kept thinking imperceptibly, like we can't see that they're liberated. That might also be how Prabhupada's meaning it. But it's reminding me because, of course, the Uttama Adhikari is very clearly, you could say he's very perceptibly liberated. The Madhyama is on a certain level, but the Kanishta, Prabhupada is saying, is also liberated, but imperceptibly liberated. So you can't see it because their liberated state isn't as manifest. It's a little bit more, it's less manifested. That's what I'm understanding. I'm philosophically speculating, extrapolating according to that definition, but Prabhupada may have a different definition. What was it saying? Yeah, because it's just, mango is a mango. You know that story. The mango is a mango. So whether it's a green mango or a ripe mango, it's still a mango. So when the devotees asked Prabhupada, how many liberated souls are there? And Prabhupada said, how many disciples do I have? And they were like, Prabhupada, we're not liberated. He said, a mango is a mango. And so as long as the mango stays attached to the tree, it becomes ripe. So you may not be devotees in perfection, but are liberated in perfection, but you're in the process. So it's still liberation, you're still a liberated soul, but you're not fully liberated. But as long as you stay on the path, then eventually you'll achieve. So it's kind of it's a very subtle thing. We may not feel it, but we hear time and time again, just simply by performing devotional service, we're on the liberated platform. Of course, we don't feel liberated. I definitely don't. I mean, you all might. I don't feel liberated myself, but yeah, like that. Anyway, that's my extrapolation. You had another thought? Something was coming up for you when you were
Well, when you were saying the definition, And the word gradual was in the definition also.
Okay.
So then that's like another. It's like he's being
Nice.
liberated, but maybe on a longer timeline you could see it. But yeah, so he's in the process of liberating.
Yeah. Yeah, the third class devotee can also imperceptibly achieve liberation, gradually achieve liberation. Yeah, very nice. Any other thoughts?
It's interesting because, so, like, I'm third class devotee, you got someone second, first. We're all going to go in the temple room and take darshan of the same sets of deities. But, yeah, depending on, because I'm the first class may swoon, may not want to show it, but they may go, oh my God, they'll see they'll see God in a very different form. And the second, or can't, will appreciate. And then the third maybe just, I'm, it's God. I fear you, or I'm gonna come and pay my. What I'm trying to say is everyone sees the same end goal. If that makes sense. If the third class devotee, and the second and the third walked in the temple, this ain't a joke,
So first class, second class, third class devotee walk into the temple.
The temple. But I'm saying all three of them see the same end goal, because the end goal is the deity, if the absolute truth.
Yeah.
But how they perceive it, how I experience it, everyone's different. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think it's maybe the use of the term they all see the same end goal for me makes me think, oh, are they seeing the same end goal?
As in, end goal, wow.
It's quite
He's
cool living in.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure if I've ever seen any. It's like an albino gnat. Balaram gnat. He really likes you.
Oh no. Oh dear.
Is he?
Could be a messenger.
Okay,
from
we're getting
Krishna.
distracted here. That's not the end goal. We're going to come
Yeah,
back.
see how easily we get
Come back-
distracted.
Come back in my next life as a white bug.
Yeah, I may not explain that properly, but I get what.
But I think I get what you mean. Because actually, in one sense, the form of the Lord is the end goal.
Yeah,
They're
but-
all there in
yeah.
front of the same deity.
Yes.
But their perception of the deity is they're there for different purposes and different reasons,
Yeah.
kind of thing. So
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
seeing slightly different,
Yeah.
which also can be according, because that's also imperceptible.
Right.
You can't
It's all
really
free
see
to
three
walk.
From
people
the outside.
standing there like doing this, and you're thinking, oh, the guy in the suit, he must be the Kanishta, and this,
Right.
but he might actually be on the Uttama
Yeah,
platform, and then
yeah.
someone else might be looking, thinking, oh, you
Someone
know,
who's dressed like a
I
devotee.
wonder when will I
But-
get the Raj Bhog?
Yeah.
He might be. He might
Yeah.
be the. When will I get the Maha? He might be the sannyasi. The external dress also could be imperceptible, or they might all be dressed exactly the same, and you don't know who's on
No,
which
you
platform.
don't. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. Shall we conclude here?
Yes.
Okay.
Make a note where we should.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. I have noted. Okay, thank you
Okay, thank
very,
you.
very much. You're both so
Yes.
blessed. I think I was going to say you're imperceptibly liberated, but you're not. You're perceptibly liberated. You're very perceptibly liberated and getting the opportunity to serve the beautiful deities here, which hopefully we will put some pictures in of the
Yeah, I
deities,
will.
especially since this whole
Yeah.
Bhagavatam Bites
about
is about to
deities.
do. So if she doesn't put it in,
I
you
will.
can write in the comments, Haribo, what's up with that?
I will.
Okay. Thank you all very, very much for
Thank
tuning
you.
in. Please read the Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam, perfect your life, and come to Sridham New Mayapur
I
in
will
France.
put links in the description box. Like, there's a website,
Yeah.
Facebook, address, anything you need to know. I'll put it in the description box.
Okay. Hare Krishna,
Hare
Srila
Krishna.
Prabhupada ki
Jai.
jai. Harimo.